Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? This is Plan in Traffic. My name is Lewis Lee, and I'd like to welcome everybody. And we are live on YouTube and Facebook, I think. Jim, let me know if we're live on Facebook. But anyway, this is where we get together, me and a whole bunch of fellas and women get together and talk car stuff or motorcycle stuff or anything you can put gas in. So if anybody wants to come in, you can click on the button and jump over to Crowdcast. Should be a link. You can come in and chat with us in the chat room, and talk about stuff. So I'm going to let a couple people on screen here. And we will get started. How's it going, Brian? Chassis John? Jim, Papa Squirrel.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, hanging.
Let's see who else is jumping in. Jim, you want to jump in? Waiting on Ray. Let's get Jim in. So what's going on down there in Florida?
Rain, lots of rain.
Is it?
Believe it or
Good.
not, yeah. Horrible. Whole weekend. And today, on and off. I don't know.
Good, because
it's gonna rain all week.
Yeah, it's always raining here in Ohio, so I'm happy when it rains somewhere sunny.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. It's not stopping me from doing anything though.
Yeah.
All good.
What so you're staying pretty busy, huh?
Oh yeah, we're real busy. Got a lot going on with the business. Been doing a lot on the Camaro.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
cool.
that Camaro's getting pretty much wrapped up, huh?
Yeah, I'd like to get it out of here in about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I got to make some phone calls to Holly tomorrow about some of the products I need to purchase because it's got that Dominator fuel injection, and I bought their ignition system, and we found I didn't even realize it, but I was just kind of messing around on the Holly website in the EFI section, and they actually make a replacement. Let me grab it. Hold on. That's the gauge setup from a 67 or 68 Camaro.
Oh yeah.
So they make a replacement piece, and instead of having these two gauge pods, it's opened up flat that you can put the Holly EFI electronic gauge panel in there.
Oh yeah.
Right in it, yeah.
That's pretty slick.
And that gauge system, it's a touch screen, so you can monitor all kinds of stuff. And it has, I forget what it said. I believe it's like there's like 100 different gauge systems already in the memory.
Wow.
So you basically, you could set up whatever gauges you want. And there's different faces, and then you can name them, for whatever you need. If you had boost or nitrous or whatever, comes set up with a GPS antenna for speedometer.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a whole package.
Now, see, you wouldn't think they would do that because they're not in that part of the world, you know what I mean? But now they're into the digital dash and wow.
Well, Holly is now the conglomerate name for a lot of companies.
Yeah.
They own MSD. They own a bunch of stuff. So they've got carburation, fuel injection, ignition systems, and they got into that computerization with those gauge panels, and they're pretty advanced. They're touch screen,
wow,
which is great. And you can, you just determine what gauge package you want. I was looking at one that I think is probably going to be the one that goes in here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 6 gauges, 2 large ones, TAC and Speedo. And then 4 smaller ones, and it's all within that one screen.
That's
and you
pretty
can
neat.
touch, you know, and you can go from, you could program various screens. Like if it was a full-on race car, and you were in the pits, you would go to what they would call a warm-up screen, which is going to bring in, you know, data of what's going on in the motor, the fuel system, things like that, to do your warm-up. And then you can go to race mode or street mode. You know, so you can program what you want.
Now let me ask you this:
various gauge packages all built into this thing.
Now, how many different cars do they make it for with the insert?
Well, the insert is like a universal insert. There's 3 different sizes. This one uses the one that it's close to 7 inches across, and it's about 4 inches tall. I only saw, I think, 3 different like panels. In other words, like, you know, on the Camaros, because of those pods, they had to come up with an injection molded piece. So you would actually get rid of the stock gauges and you put that thing in, and it's just one thing right behind the steering wheel. You can't miss it. It's perfect. So we don't have to deal with anything. But what I have questions as to, because you could buy like what they call the freestanding unit. So there's a lot of redundancy in what I'm seeing in cabling. In other words, the stuff that came from the engine builder with the fuel injection unit, there's like a couple of miles of cables.
I bet.
The ignition system has a bunch of cables, and I noticed there's a couple of them that are identical to ones I already have. So I need to find out from them, what else do I really need when I get this dash panel and this you know, touchscreen gauge deal. I have not seen any sending units other than the O2 sensor and the temperature sender that's already in the manifold on the engine. So it's going to need an oil pressure sender. The simple stuff, you know, like your tachometer, it's going to read that directly off of the ignition system. But there's going to be some other stuff, you know. So it's why I'm going to call Holly tomorrow and ask a couple questions and find out exactly what's got to go on. Is there like a secondary package that you have to buy if you buy just the gauge panel? Is there something else, senders, you know, that kind of stuff?
I'll tell you, man.
I'm amazed at the things that it does, you know, because like I belong to a couple of these Facebook pages that have to do with this stuff. And one of the things that I thought I was going to run into a big problem with is the way this Dominator EFI is set up. It's not the same throttle arm as a typical carburetor or even a regular Holley Dominator. So it was a little bit of work to get a throttle cable that's going to work with this car hooked up. But because he's running a Turbo 400, I need to send 12 volts into the transmission at wide open throttle. Now, typically on a lot of older cars, you would have a kickdown cable. If it was that style, this transmission, it's just a little wire that goes into it. There's like a like a turbo on the side of the transmission. So you need to get 12 volts positive at wide open throttle for it to kick down. If it's in high gear and you slam it, it's got to drop down to second. If it's in second, you slam it wide open, it's probably going to go down to first. So I could not come up with anything to hook up a switch. Typically, like if it was a regular carburetor, if you couldn't do it linkage wise, we would hook up a switch that we would normally use for guys that have nitrous oxide. So there's like a flap on the throttle arm, and you mount the switch there, and then when the throttle goes wide open, it pushes that little spring thing down and it closes the switch. They don't have that on the linkage on this particular. As a matter of fact, I got a thing on my camera here. Hold on. I bought an extension cord.
Uh-oh.
High tech here.
See
yeah,
that?
we're going high tech.
Yeah. It doesn't have what you need in order to make it work. You can't mount a switch over here and have it so that when it goes wide open, that you can close it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was talking to some, I posed some questions on one of the Facebook sites that has to do with the EFI. And right away they told me, oh, well, you can do that electronically. I was like, what are you talking about? So in the programming on this fuel injection, it has you determine the electrical circuits, and it actually creates a ground. So you put the parameters in, and it opens up a ground line to close a relay. At the same time, you can use that for a lot of cars. When you go wide open throttle, if the AC is on, your compressor will shut off. So that same circuit that shuts off the compressor can also trigger a second solenoid to kick down the transmission. So there's a lot of tunable parameters in this EFI. It's kind of mind-boggling for a guy that's used to playing with carburetor jets.
Yeah. Well, hey, think of this. 15 years ago, think about the technology from 15 years ago.
Sure.
It's unlimited what you can do.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, and I'm doing a lot of reading on it, and it's a self-learning system.
Mm-hmm.
So you put in some parameters before the first startup, and it builds a map, and then from there it modifies that map as you're driving. It's monitoring vacuum, it's monitoring air-fuel ratio, water temperature, all of that stuff. It's able to take all of those variables and come up with a map that actually keeps things where they should be. But you could go to another screen and you can change that. You can trigger nitrous oxide systems with the way this thing is out of the box. And you can change timing. If you use, Holley has a distributor that does not have any type of mechanical advance in it. It's a locked distributor. You can do the same thing with like an MSD distributor too. And it'll completely adjust the timing electronically. So, you want to pull timing out, or you want to maximize the timing depending on RPM and for each stage of nitrous, or if you're using turbo, you use a boost referenced regulator. And all of that information all goes into the system, and it's like on your keyboard, or pushing buttons, on it. It's amazing. It's got switches so now you don't have to have certain switches in the car. It's got electronic switch. You can just hit a button and up comes a screen, and there will be electronic switches to turn things on and off. So I'm like, this is like a spaceship, And the kid that owns the car, he's like, dude, I don't want any of that. He goes, get it running, and don't even tell me about anything else. I don't want to know nothing, because I just want to get in the car, turn the key, and drive. He goes, so put it on simple. Like,
until he wants to really get tweaking on it.
No, he's not interested in. He said, look, I'm a body guy. I don't want to know nothing, because I just want to get in and drive. Because I'm not interested in trying to, squeeze every last thing that this system could possibly do. He likes the dashboard because it looks cool, and B, it's modern. There's quite a bit of modern stuff that's going into this car. So we were going to use not autometer gauges. We're going to use oh God, what's the name of that company that makes those really cool electronic gauges now? Dakota Digital. Yeah, we were going to go with Dakota Digital gauges and do like that theme where they got everything is like neon blue. And they have a package. Dakota Digital makes a package also that goes in that pod. You replace that pod with their gauges. And then we were going to do the 4 gauges in the console on the Super Sports, and the RS have a center console, which we bought. And there's a section in the front where you can put 4 gauges. we were going to do that. Now we're not. Now we're just putting a console in with no gauges, and everything will be involved in that. So it'll be pretty good.
What's up, Ray?
Yes, sir. You know, John, what you're describing, anybody who worked on modern cars back in the late 80s, that's the GM EST distributor system. That's what they were using back in cars when they went to the 7-pin, 5 and 7-pin modules. All computer controlled. The distributor was just the vessel that held the electronics.
Right.
And a place to put the wires.
Exactly.
Because it still wasn't coil unplugged.
That's what this thing's doing.
Yeah.
So should be pretty cool.
Now you know why all those TV shows you see nothing but laptops on top of the cars.
Yes.
Places the tuning screwdriver.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once you get into it, I mean, forget about it. You it's not just a matter of like setting the advance in the distributor. You could set an entire curve in there, a change.
Yeah, you can do it. You could bring up a blank fuel map and put your own, points in.
Yeah.
How much fuel you want at what RPM, or how many seconds or milliseconds into a run, or any of that stuff. You put the parameters in, and then you adjust up and down. That's race car stuff. If you need it. This is a street car, so self-learning is good. Maybe if it's not really self-learning perfectly, it may need to be tweaked. I've never seen anything out of the factory that's dead on. Even if it's a good program, they always kind of need a little help here and there. Every car is different. It's like every single person's different. So I would assume that there may be some, map alterations that need to get done to really fine tune it. I've done quite a bit of reading, and there's quite a few guys that seem to have some issues at certain RPMs where this particular fuel injection unit runs fat. And I would tend to believe that a lot of that's going to have to do with the manifold and the heads and the camshaft. You get those areas where airflow just doesn't continue to rise. It sort of, levels off.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the fuel injection, even carburetors, they don't coincide with each other. So you wind up with fat spots here and there. Wide open throttle, that's a completely different story. It could be
but what a system like that with a feedback loop with the O2 sensors, it should be able to take fuel out.
Yes, exactly. I'm expecting that's what's going to happen. But one of the things that I think they need to come up with an option is this only uses a single O2 sensor.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
So I've got one whole bank on this car that could be doing whatever it wants to do.
Yeah. And
nobody's adjusting that, So I think that's one of the things that Holley should come up with is a second O2 line, and then let the system balance out between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, I see on the guys that are using, like a fuel injection system that's got fuel rails, a real race type with injectors. Those guys are running O2 sensors in every single pipe. So you're literally monitoring. Besides, when I was racing, we weren't using O2 sensors for anything because it was carburation, but we were running temperature probes in every single cylinder. So after a run, we could see what was going on. And if it was like a non-nitrous car, we could play with jetting. If it was a nitrous car, we could again play with nitrous jetting, or even changing the heat range on a plug. If I got a plug in one corner that's a little cold, but everything else is, right there around 1380 to 1440 on the top end, we can mess around with that kind of stuff. So I think that this system would be so much more versatile, although a little bit more complicated. If it was running two O2 sensors, I think you could wind up with something that could get a ridiculous amount of gas mileage.
Yeah.
Single O2 works great on a stock car because how many stock cars have true dual exhaust?
Hmm.
You know, a lot of cars run the two pipes together into a single pipe, and then they split them out back into dual mufflers because it looks good.
Yeah.
So on that type of system, a stock, you know, GM, Ford, Chrysler deal, single O2 sensor will work just fine.
That's funny that Holly doesn't do that because I know.
Yeah,
like,
I thought it was a little odd when I opened up the box and started checking it all out, and I'm like, wow, it's only one O2 sensor. But yeah,
yeah, most
you
of the
know,
high performance
it's a
cars I
very
know about
simple
have-
system because it doesn't take a lot to get this thing running. It's a ground, hot, and
Oh yeah, there's nothing to it.
and then the distributor line, and that's it. And you're ready. You literally are ready to fire up your car, providing you know you do the right fuel system and everything.
Hmm. I was looking at the Harley Sniper.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple of different versions, and this one's the real big one, and it fits on the same exact bolt pattern as a Dominator, the big ones.
Mhm.
The 4500 series. So
Is he gonna be able to handle that bad boy?
let me tell you something. If he wraps it around a tree, not my problem.
You got to put a bolt on the gas if it only goes so far.
Throttle stop.
Yeah. Throttle. I think I could do that electronically.
Yeah.
You know, I could certainly do a RPM thing, but I may be able to do something else. You know, give them like training wheels because it's a lot of horsepower. Yeah, 800 plus horsepower on a car that doesn't have a slick.
There's
You know,
probably a screen. There's probably a screen you can pull up for that for the throttle.
Yeah,
stop.
I mean, you know, maybe there's like a valet screen.
Yeah. Right.
There probably is.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, well, we'll figure that one out. So we'll see. I mean, I honestly can't see these Toyo tires having any kind of, you know.
Well, there's your limiting factor right there.
Oh, big time. Huge, you know. And to boot, the car's got a 350 rear.
Mm.
So it's a highway cruiser, you know.
Yeah.
But if you dump over 800 horse into a 350 rear with a street tire that's made for kind of going around turns,
Yeah.
it's a smoke show.
Yeah.
You know, the torque that this motor makes it makes almost 800 pound-feet of torque.
Nice.
It's high 700s. It's what I call a square motor.
Yeah.
It makes almost as much torque as it does horsepower, and they kind of coincide relatively close. So it's only I think about 600 RPM above max torque is max horsepower. So you're like in your power band all day long on this motor.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it
how much
comes
does it
in low. Well, this thing when it's done, it'll probably be 3,300 pounds or
That
more.
much torque, 3,300 pound car. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
What's the basically stock steel Camaro weigh?
Yeah. About 30, 34, 35, something like that.
Yeah. So
36.
full interior, full steel body, big block with aluminum heads. So
It's probably
You
gonna
know.
be a little heavier than that, but still.
yeah, maybe it is probably 34 to 3,500 pounds. It'll be a tub, but it'll be fast.
Yeah, fast tub. Oh God. How good
Yeah,
a
real
driver is
fast
he?
tub.
That's a good question at this point.
Yeah, it'll be
So
pretty scary.
Ray, what are you guys working on at the shop?
Trailer bearings.
Oh
Yeah,
wow!
nothing's happening. It's dead time. I worked on my daughter's car, but I worked on it at home in my driveway. It's like instead of going all the way down there to use the lift, just do it here. You know. So yeah, nothing. It's extremely slow.
Really?
The only thing that's moving is my car is moving through the body shop. It's going to start getting primed tomorrow, and it'll go through a couple of phases of prime and blocking, and then maybe paint by next Saturday.
Nice.
We'll see. So my daughter came. She was over here on Memorial Day, and moving around the yard. She comes into the garage for something, and she says, "Oh my God, you have another one out here?" She says, "What, the guy deliver?" She's looking at the second drum set. It's in the garage because now the car isn't there. I said, "Nah, it's the practice set." Like, I'm gonna have to find a place for that too. Oh well. John, you're gonna have room once the Camaro's gone. Boom. One
A
full
little
tank.
bit of room. The space the Camaro's taking is going to wind up being the space for a chassis table
Mm.
for
Oh,
at
and then the
least.
car goes on a table.
Well, yeah. What'll happen is yes, uh, not in the beginning.
Right.
I have to. I got to build the table. So I already have the plans on that one. It's going to be sort of a similar copy to one of the tables I had at the chassis shop.
So you're not getting that one from Ohio.
I don't know. I still
All right.
may. I got to kind of figure this one out. The one from Ohio is a pretty serious table, really serious table, and it's kind of long. It would literally take up almost all of the space in the garage here, because he was building a 70 Roadrunner.
Oh, yeah.
What do you call it? No, a Charger Daytona.
That's long, yeah.
Yeah, that's like a 21-foot car.
Well, then you leave the table and you just set a slot car track up on it later.
Yeah, right. I know.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful table.
Yeah, I bet.
It's got a lot of work involved in this thing. But I'm going to build a table out of heavy wall 2x3.
Yeah.
And I'm going to minimize it. All you need is your two main supports with cross members under your rails. And those are 24 inches wide. And then you want to come out wider than the rear main cross member.
Mm-hmm.
And then just at the front of the rocker panels, you want to come out past that, because you want to be able to drop your rocker panels onto something.
Yeah.
You need to go about at least 2 feet or more. I just have to measure the overhang on the Trans Am past where your rack and pinion is going to mount.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a support to drop the front of the nose on to do what you got to do there. And then anything behind the main cross member, you can narrow that up, because then you're only dealing with your rear frame. So again, the rear frame on the outside is either going to be the same as the main rails at 24, or it'll narrow down to like 20. Based on if I decide to do the 4-link under the frame rails or the 4-link outside the frame rails. If you go outside the frame rails, it's a little easier to mount stuff like your anti-roll bar and some other pieces.
Yeah.
And then your rear rails are actually slightly inside. So if you ran a 24-inch center, you're going to take like 1.25 inches off on the inner dimensions, and there's your rear rails. Building it that way, though, has a tendency to make less space. It's great on a drag car. It's not a problem, but I need to put a fuel cell in this thing. So running the rails square with the front at 24 inches allows me to put in a pretty decent sized fuel cell. I'm pretty sure what I had in the car back in the 90s was I think it was a 15 or a 17 gallon fuel cell, which is more than enough for, what's got to go on.
Racing, yeah.
Way more than enough for racing, but, for street use, at least you got some gallonage to get you where you got to go. It'll probably wind up being a custom aluminum one that I weld up. And then I'll go to save space and to save weight and just to make things so much easier and cleaner. I'm going to put an internal fuel pump in, and then just run the lines and do a return line system. And then, I do a lot of the chassis guys do, not all of them, but I run as much stuff through the frame rails as you can. God forbid you get in an accident, everything's garbage. But, I set my cars up from day one where we would put a piece of tubing in a tube cross member, and then your down rails are in front of that. And then we open up the main rail where the down tubes, the angled tubes come in, or we come in from the back. and we run brake lines through the frame rail on the driver's side. The main fuel line runs through the passenger side frame rail. I'll also through like the rocker rails will run the overflow for the radiator. Literally run a hose from the radiator all the way to the back of the car. Put the overflow bottle in the back and do a recovery bottle.
Yeah.
So if stuff gets in there, when it cools down, it will suck it back. But if it overflows out the back next to the parachute. It's out of your way. You don't want to run over your own water on the racetrack.
No.
So, that's one of the things that I've done for years. I'm not the only one that does that. I didn't invent that deal, but it makes it so much easier on a round two car to literally use the rails as a container to hold stuff. You slide your steel braided hose right through there, and you pull it out on the other end with a needle nose pliers, and then you cut and you put your fittings on it. You don't have to deal with those Adele clamps and drilling holes in the rail and rivets and all kinds of stuff, hanging around. So it just makes things nice and clean.
Custom bike builders use the frame as an oil tank.
Yes.
Or air tank.
Absolutely.
Or an air tank, sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Have
things
you ever done any chassis for lowriders?
No.
Because they do a lot of modifications
Yeah, they do a lot
for
of stuff.
hydraulics. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, every drag car we built is a low rider. They all fit 3.5 inches off the ground. But I know you low rider guys, you'll drop the rockers right on the asphalt.
Yeah.
I've seen that. That's pretty cool.
I ain't going that low. Ohio roads ain't too sweet.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of I've seen videos and watched a lot of shows where guys do builds and everything is they put the body on the chassis table or on the garage floor, and everything is built to be above that. So when you slam it in the parking lot, you don't have to worry about wrecking anything. And it looks good too. When when you bring it up to drive it on the street and somebody gets down on their knees and looks under it, there's nothing hanging out in the car. That stuff's great. I love that.
Now the technology is getting real tough in the lowrider community too.
Yeah.
On the swaps and just everything. Chassis,
Sure.
rears, you know what I mean? Because they break all that with the hydraulics.
Oh yeah. The guys that do the bouncing.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm going air ride though. I don't think I'm gonna do the hydraulics. They're just messy, noisy.
Air ride, great. Air ride's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Not as messy. I don't have to cut anything. You know what I mean?
No, nothing at all. And your whole suspension system works, and the new airbag coil over shocks that they sell.
I got a question. You guys might be able to help me with. On my truck, F-150, I want to put bags on it so I can lower it. Do I have to do lowering spindles too?
You're putting bags. No, you can do bags without load spindles.
It depends on how low you want to go.
And how low you want to go, right? Absolutely.
Because I was thinking about buying the spindles, and I was like, wait a minute, if I do bags, then I won't have to buy the spindles. But then I started thinking, do I have to? So,
you know what it is? I'll tell you exactly how you figure that one out. You would have to find the limits of your suspension minus your spring and shock being installed. In other words, if you were to pull the springs and shocks out, put the wheels and tires on, and then lower your jack down and see where you wind up. You're gonna have to get some dimensions though, because your airbag system, it's gonna come to a certain point where it stops.
right.
And the upper and lower control arms with the spindle usually will move further than that.
There's another part of it. And that's what you're touching on, and it's the A-frame geometry.
Right.
Because everything shifts in like the not the cast direction, but the camber direction. So they redesign the A-frames, and or ball joints in conjunction with the spindles, so you could dial it in any way you want.
Right.
I would say you talk to the company who you're going to get the bags from. They'll know what's going on. You tell them what to do. You know,
You can get different length ones. When you go to aftermarket arms, that's going to change things. And you know, if the overall drop isn't low enough for you, then you need to seek out, you know, a 1 inch, a 2 inch drop spindle. That's going to instantly at ride height make the car sit 2 inches low.
right?
So then that, you know, adds on. So if you're already at 2 inches below stock because you put a drop spindle on, and then you deflate the bag, boom, you're getting your rockers real close to the ground.
Then you have to look at also what rim and tire size you're using too, because like I said, everything is adding at that point.
Yeah.
When you lower the spindle, it actually raises it. It's a lowered spindle, but it actually raises it on. That's what actually makes the drop in suspension.
Right. Spindle tire up off the ground to begin with.
If you're going to use those little 13s with some rubber band tires,
Yeah.
you'll be chassis scraping.
You'll be scraping, right? But if you decide you're going to put a 2 inch spindle on a Cadillac that had a 15-inch wheel, and you're going to go with a 19, you just negated what that spindle's capable of doing.
You take it away, you're adding,
So
Well,
it's all
some effect.
Well, the truck, I'm doing the bags too. So
yeah.
I'll probably go with 20s on the truck. But the caddy, I think I'm gonna do 15s because I need to be able to stop, and I can't find any good brakes. You know what I mean? For 13s?
Well, to fit behind a rim, John, that's the problem. A 13-inch wheel, you can't put anything.
You're going to run 13s?
I wanted to, but now I'm thinking I have to go 15s because I want.
Changing your name to Jose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you also, you know, I upgraded my Fiat from 13-inch to 14-inch wheels years ago. It's hard to find 13-inch tires. They're like, and even 14s now are almost like non-existent.
Yeah, there's companies out there. I see guys running around here that work the strawberry farms.
Yeah,
and they'll go cruising by, in an Impala with 13-inch wheels with white walls.
Well, now the other thing is it became a specialty thing that you're going to pay a premium for. So it's not like you're going to spend $39 a tire. It's going to be maybe $139. You know, it goes the other way because
it's special. Yep.
Yeah,
but
you don't want to run like a 15 or a 16-inch wheel, with like spokes, a wire wheel with a nice.
Yeah, I'm doing a wire wheel, but that's what I'm thinking. I have to do a 15 or a 16 because if I do any motor work, I want to be able to stop. So
right. I think a big car like that would just look awesome with a big set of wires, a set of real wires with nice tires on them. Maybe those ones. What's those ones that's got a white wall and a yellow wall?
Vogues.
There you go.
Now I just started following Vogue again on Twitter because we've had the guy Greg Hathcock on the show. I'm inviting him back on again.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy.
I like to get him on too.
They have they're making a red stripe tire now, which is new to Vogue. Yeah.
One of my friends bought a set of Vogues and he has red interior. Then they came out with that red stripe and he's pissed because he spent all his money on.
They just came out with it. Yeah. I just saw it this week, in fact. So.
Yeah. I would like to get them on the show too. If you give me their contact.
A caddy with a nice size tire on it with the bags, would just be a badass ride.
Well, see, the thing is,
you can do all the low rider theming and stuff still, and the car will sit real low with bags.
Yeah.
But a larger tire to fill out those big wheel wells, especially in the back, if you put those, that what is that cover goes over the rear. Yeah, the skirt. It's bad looking, especially when you drop them down.
Yeah.
That'll look really cool. But it's all math. It's all math.
Yeah, it is.
You got to figure it out. See, like what I'm doing with the Trans Am. There's a lot of couple of good companies now came out with adjustable upper strut cups. Before that stuff, we would build the car to the tire. So depending on the class, like if it's a pro stock car, you're going to run a 25-inch front tire. Is pretty standard, a 24 or a 25-inch tire. So you got your radius. And then you got to realize that the tire is going to squat a little bit. It's It's not 25 inches. It's more like 24 and 3/8 is the loaded, diameter. And our jig would set the spindle height of the strut at that loaded, height.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we would calculate where the upper strut cup goes, because that's permanently welded into the down tube that comes out of the firewall and goes to the frame rail. So that was a set in stone kind of a deal. So now they have a tube with an insert, and some of them have spacers. Some of them are just a really long machined piece that unscrews, and it has a lock nut like what you would see on a coilover. And you could literally move that mount up and down on one of them as much as 2 inches.
Wow.
So if you build to one height and you need to lower the car or raise the car, you would move the cup, and it doesn't modify anything else. It's got a spherical bearing in it. It keeps all your alignment specs don't change. You just move. It's like moving the cup. So what I'm going to wind up doing is building it with the cup piece screwed in all the way, and a 25-inch tire, and that would be my lowest setting, which I would build it at for going to the track. We're going to put my air dam just about 3 3/4 or 4 inches off the ground at the front of the car, so the car will be as low as a pro stock. And then for the street, jack that thing out and then switch to a larger tire. I used to run a 26-inch front tire on the Trans Am on the street because I needed that clearance with the stock frame, even with the lowering springs that I had in it. That cross member on the F bodies, it used to whack the pavement.
Yeah.
So I need that height. And now with the tube chassis, it'll be different. So I will literally have a set of street tires and a set of track tires. And the taller street tire, I may even go with a 27-inch front. I had 27s on this Trans Am at one point. And the car still sat low enough that when you walked up to it, the headlight was like where your knee is.
Yeah.
So I'll have, by using a taller tire, that's going to jack the front end up, and then using the adjustable spring cup. So I'm going to wind up with the best of both worlds in my front suspension.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I remember asking Lou that question years ago when I put my car together. I remember when I put the bumper on it, I was like, oh, wow, this car is lower than I thought. And the headlight was like knee height.
Yeah.
And, I can't adjust them high enough to really be where I want them.
That was one of the problems, with the headlights being down at knee height. But
yeah. And I asked Lou what he thought, and he told me, like, just cut the back of the buckets and just lay them back. Like,
yeah, you
can look right.
Then they're kind of going uphill.
Yeah.
So I'll just set them at 0, and we're done with it. It's not going to be a problem.
Call Mitch. He'll get your lights shooting up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's one thing I'm going to do still. I'm going to switch to the LED headlights. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I'm going LED. I don't know. I have two choices. I just got to figure out which way to go. They make an LED light because I have the 4 square ones.
Oh, right. That's the 81. Yeah. I keep forgetting. I keep thinking 70.
So I've seen LED lights that have like multiple LEDs, and when you look at them, it's like looking at a bug's eye.
Yeah, it's like a I know the one.
It's all of that.
Yeah.
So I kind of think I'm gonna go, since it's an 81 Trans Am, I'm gonna maybe give a little homage to the disco days.
Yeah.
They have these really nice halogens, and they've got that LED halo around them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colors, you can make it whatever color you want.
Right.
Or you can, when you go to the cruise night, you can walk out of the car and hit the remote, and it's like a disco.
Yeah.
Colors, so.
Terry's like, no.
It flashes, the halos flash all different. It goes through the whole spectrum. It's like so disco,
Well, I'm not doing that.
But
Yeah, my bike
I
has
think we're
that.
gonna come down and stop you from doing that. God.
they use a really nice mirror polished reflector with a beautiful, like blue white halogen bulb.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of candle power.
Yeah.
And you could just use them, with either like white or like an orange or something as a daytime driving deal. You don't have to go Joe Disco, but it's there. It comes with the remote, and it's got all the different colors. You just hit the color you want, and it shows up, on your headlights. It's
Terry's
Joe,
vein is popping out of his head.
Yeah, you should have seen it when I was taking the car apart at the other shop, and I had to take the rear lights out. I had to leave the quarter panel extensions so that they could do the body work and make them fit. But I had to gut all the lights out of it. That's all the Radiance LEDs. And when I pulled them out, and the one guy says, "Yeah, what did you put in there?" And I held up that rack of 600 LEDs. He's like, "Holy crap!" He goes, "How'd they fit so many in there?" I'm like, "He maxed it out, man. He maxed it out."
I want him to do my taillights.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
want super bright LED taillights.
I have small planes that follow me when I hit the brakes. They think they're coming in for a landing. They think I'm a beacon.
I'm telling you, no joke.
No, they are bright.
I was riding with some guys last year, and they were like, "Dude, you hit the brakes, man, and like lit up the whole street."
Yeah,
Does he do that? Also, do that thing with like sequencing?
sure.
Because I had seen at SEMA there was a guy that had LED setups that go into the taillights that do the Mustang. They go boop 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 boop.
It's
boop.
just it's a little circuit board. That's all.
Yeah.
Timer. Yeah, no big deal.
Right. So I like that idea.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to add because the car's going to have a big wing and the dual parachutes, I'm going to add a third light up in the rear window.
Yeah.
Off the roll cage.
That'd be
Unless I find one, well, I don't know. I was thinking, how sometimes they have them on the roof?
Yeah,
If I can find something that doesn't look like a wart.
that's actually what I was still looking for my Fiat. I want to get one off like a C4, like an '84 Corvette, because it's on that back deck lid and it's low and it's a little angled, and I'll stick it in the same spot, right on that filler panel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's their names? Terry Nichols.
Mhm.
They put lights in the paint where in the back you can't even see the tail. They're in the paint until he cuts them on, man. It's pretty slick. Yeah,
That's cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
so I like the still idea. I was thinking about putting a light over the back window all the way across in the paint where you can't see it until I hit the brakes. That was my thought.
Sure.
That would be neat. Because they don't have to be real big at all.
No.
Mm-mm. Nope.
How do you keep them mounted in there, though?
Do what?
How do you keep them mounted in there? I guess you got to put them on a strip, and then all those holes have to line up, and then you screw that strip in somehow.
I don't know. I don't know. But he told me to call him when I'm ready to do it, so he'll help me through it.
There's different style LEDs. There's like a flat panel. If you've seen some of the flashlights they have now, it's just a flat panel and it just lights up like that. You're probably something like that.
Yeah, but they painted right over it, man, and it was on a Riviera. I think I showed a picture of it when they were on. Man, when he hit the brakes, dude, it lit up. I was like, wow, that's pretty slick.
That's awesome.
Would it be translucent paint that goes over it though?
No, he said he painted it. He wait, how do you say he did it? He he masked it out before he didn't primer over it, but he put the paint over it. So man, when he hit the lights, I'm telling you, it came through.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was flush. You couldn't see it. It was flush. I got a picture of it somewhere.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something for my wagon like what Ray did with his taillights. So I was looking around trying to get a set of spare taillights for my car, and $150 a pair for wagon taillights. I'm like, what? And try finding them.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of restoration.
You still have it or no?
No, I gave them away.
Hey, man, I got into this stuff too late. All the stuff I bought, it's all gone. Nobody makes it no more.
I had a ton of stuff.
Ray, did you hear that Bernie Shacker passed away?
I was gonna mention that. Yeah, I was waiting for the right time to bring it up. Yeah, I just heard today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when he went into that nursing home, assisted living, or it was,
After his wife passed
yeah, I was
away,
gonna say after his wife passed, that was, and I had him on the show right after his wife passed. It was like a month or two later, and I
wow.
talked to him on the phone. And I said, Bernie, listen, if you don't want to come and do this, don't. He goes, no, I promised you I'd come in. I said, that doesn't mean jack shit. I said, you're going through some life stuff here. I said, no, that's first. He goes, no, I think it'll be good for me to get out and do something. I'm like, okay, I can see that.
Sure.
And he gave us a great interview. It was a fantastic show. But yeah, then it was only a matter of time, I guess. It's a shame. Talk about an innovator.
He was amazing. You know, when he worked for me, we built a really nice dragster for a customer in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. You know, what happened was the customer had bought the Pro Stock from Freddie Brown, and then his son decided he wanted to go. He wasn't really a door slammer guy. He was more of a dragster guy. So he called me up. He said, "Can you build me a dragster?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm really a door slammer guy, but I'll get it done for you. You know, that shouldn't be a problem." And we called Bernie and said, "You want to do a contract, you know, with us?" And he was like, "Yeah, what do you got to do?" So I told him that we, you know, needed a really nice, long, awesome dragster to send to Puerto Rico. So he moved into Chassis Connection.
Yeah.
He brought his equipment with him, and he had a big giant, like a 10-foot brake. You know, we never bent anything sheet metal wire that was 10 feet long. He built dragsters.
What are those, like 102-inch cars? Something like that?
This car that he built was 270 inches.
Oh, totally. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's a big car.
Yeah.
That's a beast.
Just a couple of foot short of a top fuel car. They're
Yeah,
300 inches. You know, this was 270 or 275. It was a legit alcohol car because it was going to run top sportsman, which is, you know, as much power as you could throw at it, and it's still sportsman class. So he built a 270-inch dragster for me, and he worked for me for about a year, you know, and then he went back to his garage. But it was just some of the most awesome time with him being there.
Yeah.
And his dedication to the craft.
Yeah.
Unchallenged.
I mean, there's a guy that built all this stuff in the early days with a gas torch. You know?
Yep.
Wow, look at that, huh?
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, and let's see, hold on.
Shit, your phone shows up on the thing. What kind of car is that, Louis?
It's a Riviera.
That is okay. It's like a 64 or 5, I guess, early.
Yeah, and you can't. I'm telling you, it's all paint. It came out really nice. They shaved all the windows, the frame around the windows too.
Wow. Nice.
I had to him about that because I'm taking the vinyl off, and I don't have no frame for the window. They make it, but finding one would be a beast. So I think I'm going to try to do what he did with his. Matter of fact, you can see it.
I got some photos of the car that he built.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
So I'm going to probably do the same thing.
Sure.
What's up with that? I hit the share screen button, and it says there's no more left.
Because there's 4 people on the screen.
Yeah.
You gotta have an
You
empty.
want me to cut out?
You need an empty spot.
No, you don't have to. I can just move the camera. Well, I won't be able to see it though. Well, I don't know if it'll be squared up in the frame or not. Hold on a
Don't worry
second.
about it.
Wait, watch. I'll just do this. You tell me. You see it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow,
Hey,
it's
that's
gorgeous.
my color, too.
Well, what we did was we built the car and painted it to match the Trans Am that he owned.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Right.
So
nice.
yeah, and that's me driving it.
That's pretty nice.
That was my first 6-second ride.
Yeah.
So this is by his pool in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
So is it a drug dealer?
No, he
Pool
owns
salesman.
he owns the largest wrought iron.
Oops.
You hit something.
He always does that when he turns the camera. Ooh, shit.
Pulled out the network, Jack. Oops. So Ray, how long before you get the goat back?
I don't know. I guess they're going to paint it next week. Then I'm going to have to go put it back together. So a couple weeks.
I keep forgetting that this laptop's a touch screen.
I know you do that all the time.
Touch it with my thumb, I wind up elsewhere.
Either elsewhere.
Yeah, so
Man, all this technology is killing you, man.
well, you know what it is the camera that came with the laptop is horrible, so I have an auxiliary camera.
Yeah.
Anyway, the owner, he owns the biggest wrought iron railings company in Puerto Rico.
All right.
We got some money. Yeah. So, good people. He passed away a couple of years ago, Jose. And that dragster, after they kind of got done with it after a couple of years of racing it, it came to Miami, and then from Miami it wound up in Colorado, and it just recently got resold, and the man that bought it lives in Oklahoma, and he found me here on Facebook. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But all he had to do is the original chassis. He sent me a picture. The original chassis tag is in there with the old phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And if he would have called that phone number still works, and it's for the guys that bought the shop from me.
Oh, really? They kept the phone?
Oh yeah. That was one of the things that Nicky wanted. He's like, "Hey, can we keep that phone number?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just call the phone company."
Wow.
Because everybody knew that, from states all around the country. We sent cars to like 20 or 30 different states. So they kept that phone number, but now it's listed as Montana Brothers. But they would have directed him directly to me. Nicky's got my number. But he just happened to be a guy that's on Facebook, and he just did a Facebook search, and he found the Chassis Connection page. And then from there, he found my personal stuff, and then he wound up contacting me. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was to know that car is still, out running. It's still, it runs deep in the sixes with a big nitrous motor. It's got like an 800-inch nitrous motor in it.
Now, let me ask you this. I have a car that I wouldn't mind seeing if it's still around. How do you go about doing that?
I posted stuff everywhere that I hang out.
You could literally just Google the VIN number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to find my Camaro for years, and it's car's probably crushed. That's probably what it is. It's been out of service for so long.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. But I don't know how to get my VIN number. I was young, you know what I mean? I didn't keep that stuff.
Oh, you didn't have it. Yeah. See, with me, I really wasn't able to help myself when it came to finding the Trans Am. Even though I didn't keep any like old registrations or any kind of documentation on the car when I got rid of it, for some reason, and nobody can explain, I have burned into my brain 226870N1, which is the first parts of the VIN. 2268 means it's a Firebird Formula 70, because that car originally was a 70 before the accident. N means Norwood.
Norwood, yeah.
Right? And 1 is the first number of the production numbers of the actual car number.
Yeah.
And those numbers never left my head, but I didn't know the rest. The other,
all right,
5 or 6 numbers.
But here's a defining question.
Yeah.
What do you have for lunch today?
Today I had no lunch, believe it or not.
Oh, you're okay, good.
And then
I wonder if that's why you
chicken cutlet.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Bureau will have a list of cars by the name, like that.
Well, here's one of the things you can do. I was told because, I'm going to have to register the car here, and I happen to be at DMV. You can get forms from DMV where they could do a VIN search. And
the VIN, no.
because you had the car registered in your name, they can come up with, say you're looking for a replacement title or something like that. they can find out if the car's been, they can give you the VIN number and they can find out if the car's been re-registered in any other state.
Well, I'm sure we're talking old paper records here. Now, what year did you have that car, Lewis?
85, 86.
Yeah, here
Is it
they
a title?
expunged- New York was
Huh?
like 7 years, and they expunge the files. They're done.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep them in. There's like paper files, but yeah, you need like an executive order. So maybe Ohio is more friendly.
Probably not.
You never know. I mean, you got to ask. Can't hurt to ask. If you don't ask, you don't know. I guess.
Yeah.
Well, when I was at Motor Vehicle here, I spoke to. There was actually a sheriff there that works in the motor vehicle. That's his station, and I explained to him what's going on, and he was like, "That's not a problem," because my sister sent me paperwork to get a replacement title for the car. And she said that DMV can do that. It's not a problem because the car was registered in my name for like X amount of years. So I could just tell them, I lost the title and the move from New York to Florida. But the sheriff here said, no, don't worry about that. Just give me the VIN number. He said, and we can run he says, because I'm a sheriff, I can run a national query. He said, and I can find out where that car was registered prior to, you getting it back. But I know that the car has not been registered ever since I owned it. Because I was able to speak to the owners that had the car after me. And back here, when I was living in New York, that car did not have an actual title. We had a paper registration that it was a card that almost looked like a paper license at the time. And you just signed the back of it and handed it over.
That's absolutely right, because that didn't start until like 73.
73, right. And this was a 1970 model year car. So I always had a paper Reggie with me. You didn't have an actual title. Not like today. It's different. So I gave that to the guy that bought it from me. And he lives here in Florida. And I'm like, when you guys got rid of that car, did you ever register that car? Nah.
Make me bend over. Of course, I have these files here. These are all the registrations for my cars. This is the registration that John's talking about. It's a paper registration.
Paper registration.
It was a 2-part. So was the license. This is the one, and that was the seal on the back when they inspected it. It was a stamp.
Now they have an actual paper title. It's like a certificate. You keep that in the drawer.
The best part of it is this re-registration was $2.
Wow.
Ray, are the registrations now like kind of like a driver's license, a plastic credit card?
No, we still have
paper.
I'll show you. Here's this is a new registration.
Yeah.
They're still paper. They're like this. They just they have a barcode on them and all, but that's the new registration.
Yeah, that's what I have too. It's kind of same thing as my insurance card. Same deal. So the first guy didn't register the car for street use, and then left and went to another guy. And that guy said that he never registered it because he just drag raced it. The third guy and the last guy both looked at the VIN number and looked them up on the internet and saw that the car was a 1970 VIN, but it had a 1981 body, and they were like,
stolen.
Chop shop.
Yep.
They were scared to register it.
Yeah,
They wouldn't go near it.
I don't blame them.
Rocco, the last owner, he looked at that VIN number and he went in a computer and he was like, "Oh boy, what did I buy?"
Yeah.
He was like, He said, I would never even think about putting that car on the street. And I had to explain to him the whole story of the car getting rear-ended by a drunk.
I mean, and there are hidden
deciding to put an 81 body on a chassis that used to be a 1970.
Yeah, there are hidden numbers, so he could have looked. If he knew, like the
There's
order.
nothing left on this car that's hidden.
What's that?
There's nothing left on this car that's hidden.
On the chassis, there's numbers in the
No,
back.
he redid the chassis.
No, that was a stock chassis at the time, right?
The front frame was the only stock part left. Well, the firewall. But by the time Rocco got the car, one of these bandits cut the stock firewall out of this car.
Oh, wow.
So all that's left in that car today is the original modified stock front H-frame, the upper cowl, and about 4 inches of the firewall, and about 6 inches of the toe board and the floor to the seats. Everything else is gone. I cut the car from the back of the seat, from just behind the seat mount, all the way to the rear bumper when it was a Pro Street 70. Then when it became an 81, the whole stock nose was literally unbolted from the car and sold. And it had a fiberglass 81 nose put on.
Yeah.
From the doors back is brand new GM 81 quarter panels, body panel, bumper, tail lights with a lift-off fiberglass deck lid.
Yeah, it's actually good that you don't have to go get a state VIN, because now you don't have to explain all of that to the guy with the clipboard.
Yeah. So the only original parts that are left on that car is the front frame, part of the firewall, and the roof and the rocker panels.
Yeah.
Now the roof is going to stay. The rocker panels are going to go away because I'm going to do custom sheet metal ones. I need room for my exhaust system. The whole firewall's history, the cowl's history. The only thing that'll be original will be the roof, the A-pillars, and that metal part directly in front of the dashboard where that 6x9 speaker goes and the two window defroster openings. And that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And the VIN number. There's nothing left of the 70, and it's too far to reconvert it back. I wouldn't do it.
Oh, no. At this point, no.
No. So, yeah, it's long gone. So it's an 81 body, but it's got a 70 VIN.
Yeah.
And, nobody bothered to cut the VIN out of that thing. And they didn't take the, the service tag that's on the front.
Yeah.
That's still there.
Yeah.
So that's it. The trim tag.
Well, hey guys, I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna let somebody else jump in. Maybe Brian, I think. I think I'm gonna call the Bureau of Motor Vehicle. I don't know if they're open yet, though, are they?
Not here.
Yeah, they're kind of weird.
Yeah, this whole virus thing is
I've
getting goofy.
been doing the registration, Barb's registration for the Mercedes and the boat. All of that stuff came through this month, and I could do it online.
I do mine online too. Yeah.
I don't go to motor vehicle. So the only reason I went to motor vehicle and was able to talk to that sheriff is I had the plates from the Toyota that I turned in because I got new plates for the GMC. And the only reason I turned the plates in is they're the same plates that I got when I moved here in 2004, and they actually have like rust stains on them.
Wow.
So I'm like, time for new plates.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. You guys have fun and stay safe out there.
Okay, Louis.
You know.
See you guys next
I'll
week.
let you know how it works out with Greg Hathcock. I'll try and get him on here. He'll be a good guest.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Catch y'all later.
All righty.
See you.
So John, now it's been just the default preset is the Led Zeppelin station.
Oh, you've been listening?
I don't even vary it. I mean, I went to 313, but they were jumping around genres, and the woman who was DJing, what the hell did she play? This is going back a few days.
313 is what, the live channel?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've been doing all kinds of weirdness.
They played something deep that was pretty cool, and then she said, "Yeah, now we're gonna go to." It was like she really did this big talk up. They played like a couple of hard and heavy songs.
Mm-hmm.
And said, "Yeah, now we're gonna." Her talk up. I'm expecting like early Black Sabbath or something, and she goes and plays Foreigner. A girl like you. I'm like, what? Like, what kind of segue is that?
Oh my god!
Like she just came off of Rory Gallagher or something, and like no. So I went back to Zepp.
Have you heard the commercials that they're doing a live concert tomorrow from Fenway Park?
I heard about it. Yeah.
There's not going to be anybody there, but I forget the name of his band. Some weird name band.
Yeah.
And then they're bringing Springsteen in on the Jumbotron.
A lot of people are coming in.
Yeah.
Who did I hear? I heard it this morning when I was having my coffee. I don't remember who else. A lot of some heavy hitters are going to be playing.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just so over it.
Everybody's over it at
So
this point.
over it. And you know, with me, I get aggravated real easy at stupidity. And I see stuff, you know, like there was a guy on the news tonight that they interviewed who owns a company that makes sanitary stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he's got some chemical spray that you could buy, and you could buy a small quantity of it and use it in your house. And you use a sprayer. And it's non-toxic, but it's a sanitizer, and it smells good, and the whole deal, you know? So you're like, they interview this guy, and then they're talking to some of these shop owners.
Right.
And I'm like, and they're like, yeah, you know, we use this through the whole shop and everything, so we're ready to open. And right away, I'm like, you've been closed for 3 effing months.
Yeah.
What the hell could possibly be alive in your store?
Yeah, right.
Okay. The CDC already said this shit doesn't last more than a couple of days max on any surface, and then it's dead. There's no host. It can't survive. So now there's people, I don't have a problem with them making money, but they're going overboard. Everybody's so worried about cleaning this and cleaning that, and all of these businesses, they're tearing their equipment out and they're sterilizing the shit out of the whole goddamn building, but there ain't nothing there.
Yeah.
My wife said they're going to do the same thing at the school. They're going in and they're sanitizing the school before school starts, you know, in the end of July or August. And she's like, we haven't been here since February. What could be living in this place?
Yeah.
Why are you spending this money and paying labor to do all of this crap when all you got to do is just turn on the lights?
Yeah.
So
say they did it. So
yeah, it's ridiculous, you know. And then the commercials, the no touch this and no touch delivery, and we don't go near you, and we wear wearing masks and gloves and hazmat suits, and you know, come get your goddamn donuts. Fucking just go. Shut up. I can't deal with it. She's like, you need to open up your website. She goes, and you need to start ranting, and you'll get a bazillion followers, and you'll actually make money.
Yeah, you're good.
I can't deal with the stupidity. I really can't. It's, you know, there was no common sense before. There's been quite a few years there hasn't been any common sense in this fucking country.
Yeah.
Now, forget about it. It's completely out the window, you know? And then, like, every goddamn night, I got to watch that old biddy with a different colored scarf telling me about, well, you know,
the scarf queen.
And then I got that fuck Fauci. Oh, he's going to make $1 bazillion off of this. Oh, we won't have a vaccine for 2 years. Now he's on the news last night. Yeah, we should have something by December. Yeah, you little fuck, because you're going to make a bunch of money off of it. Unbelievable.
That's the driving force.
Scam. The whole thing is a scam.
Welcome to the USA.
Yeah, right? Unbelievable. Then you got Trump having a fight with Twitter.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody on the news today, and it was really smart what they said. Twitter should not be fact checking, because if you're going to fact check, this was somebody from it was actually, she was from, of all papers, the New York Post. She said, if you're going to fact check, that automatically puts you in the category of a publisher, like a newspaper. So if you're going to fact check, you better damn well be 100% perfect, all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted, or you can be held liable for your corrections.
Yeah.
He said social media should not be fact checking anything. It's up to the user to decide what's bullshit and what's true. And there's always going to be somebody that's going to make a post that's completely wrong. You see that every day on Facebook.
Yep.
Oh God, please.
I must have got like 7 or 8 messages on Messenger in the last 3 days of people telling me to share this link because next week Facebook, if you don't use Messenger the right way, you don't get the little blue dot next to your name, and they're going to charge you like 1 cent per text.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Facebook doesn't charge anybody anything unless you're advertising.
Yeah.
Right.
People seem to believe this, and they perpetuate it, and they just keep sending it to everybody, and it's just and I get it from people that I thought were relatively smart people that I've known for years, and I'm like, did you bother to even Google this before you sent it to me and 100 other people? Because it's total fucking bullshit. Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Yeah, okay, well, you know, click the tab next to Facebook and open up another page and go to Google and type it in, and Google tells you right away you're an asshole. So I can't, you know, it's unbelievable. I look at shit. I kind of look at stuff through the eyes of George Carlin.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
It,
that would work.
I can't deal with the stupidity. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So what are you going to do?
How much political
I
stuff do
used
you
to
see
think
on
I wanted
Facebook?
to be able to read minds till I got on Facebook. Now I'm glad I can't.
And my wife calls me a Facebook whore because I'm always on it. I post stuff just to piss people off.
No, not you.
If you look at my Facebook page, it's like one post after another of like bullshit, you know. And then there's something nice, like, oh yeah, you know, this happened today, or I saw this. So I kind of temper it every now and then, ratchet it back a little bit, but
Yeah.
and people get aggravated, and I just laugh, and I'm like, you know, it's just Facebook. I'm not being serious. I'm just playing with you. Oh, I thought you really meant it. No, I don't mean
Oh,
anything.
there are people on Facebook who are deadly serious,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and it's like, what are you doing? Stop already. Do you
So,
even read the?
you know,
posts
if-
put up there?
it's not like there's enough crap going on, you know, and that poor man got, you know, killed in the street there with that cop that stuck his
Oh
knee
yeah,
in
that's
his neck.
horrible.
Yeah.
And that's wrong, just dead wrong. And what happens instead of having, you know, protests about equality, what do? They burn down the city, and then the next thing you know, they're looting every single store.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with this man's death? This is where the stupidity comes from. You know,
I told my wife today. I said, you know, if they would throw rocks and bomb and firebomb the police station, it would make sense.
right? I can understand the violence towards the police because there's been a lot of problems nationwide with the police.
And of course, I'm not suggesting they do that, but I'm saying if they did, at least the rage would be pointed at the, you know, where it came from, at the person that they're pissed off at.
But it always escalates to something stupid. It's like, oh, guess what? If we bang the windows out of Target, I can go get that new 65-inch TV.
To go burn down your.
yeah,
I mean,
They
obviously
had
that's
videos of guys going
Yeah.
into Target and bringing out 6-7 televisions, putting them on carts, and just wheeling them out.
you know just
And
And you know, the cops can't be there because it's at that point it's a riot. So how are they supposed to control it?
Oh no, the cops,
Well-
the cops especially there, backed off. They said, "Do whatever
Yeah.
you want." But explain this to me. You know, it's one thing to start rioting. Why are they rioting in Los Angeles
Right.
when this
You
happened in
say that.
Minneapolis?
solidarity.
Oh, good.
Solidarity. Yeah. Right.
What?
You know, just to roll the whole thing
It's a
back.
poor excuse to get new
Yeah.
sneakers and TVs and
Free
computers
stuff.
and things like that. Free stuff. That's what it
Free
is.
stuff. You know, just to roll it all back to the beginning. You know, in a society of tame and reasonable people, that's not the way you behave. You know, okay, there was a wrong done. You know, I think we could agree on that. But you know, the reaction was even wronger. You know, it was even worse. It was
horrible wrong. That cop needs to
I know.
he needs to burn. You know? And I feel bad. I'm glad that there was a guy that videotaped that, but I feel bad for him because let's face facts. The men in blue, they've got their people. That dude needs to move out of town.
Mm,
He's going to have a rough life because he exposed this bullshit.
mm.
But where's he
Well,
going
they
to
did
move
fire him.
to?
I don't know. But I feel bad for that guy. He was a good Samaritan, and he's the one that brought this to light and what that cop did. And that Chinese cop standing next to him, just looking like a dope.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? What is going on? And I'm waiting for the video footage to come out from, there's that scene where they take him out of the truck, out of his car, and they bring him over to the wall. And he's not fighting whatsoever. Next thing you know, he's down on the ground next to the cop car, and this dude's got his knee on his neck. But none of the video footage that they've released shows this guy doing anything against the police.
Well, it goes both ways though, because we don't know what happened. We didn't see.
That's what I'm waiting to find out. But I'm sorry, you don't put your knee on a guy's neck and just keep it there.
No,
You
you
know, I was
can't do
telling
that.
my wife, I said, theoretically, they may have interviewed the guy and said, hey, do you have anything on you we should know about? Any weapons? You got a blade? Anything? And the guy might have said no. And then maybe they did pat him down and found a knife or a gun and said, hey, you know what? Now
But
game
in the
on.
meantime, the first video you see is him cuffed, being led from his car up the curb to a brick wall. He's cuffed. He can't do anything.
Mm.
If there was some altercation and they got this dude on the ground, why don't you zip tie or cuff him at the ankles? Now the guy's completely immobile. He's not going anywhere. You do not need to be putting your knee on a guy's neck to the point where you wind up killing the guy.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. And
Yeah,
that police
absolutely.
department's going to suffer a ridiculous amount of crap for that. And it's going to spill over into every other police department across the nation. Because so many people think the police department is this big military operation. Because we've got SWAT teams, we've got all kinds of equipment, the whole 9 yards, and it's not right. They're there to serve and protect the people, and they get the wrong, rap. There's bad cops, though. There's definitely some bad cops, but there's more good cops than bad cops.
Way more good cops.
So, yeah, I don't get it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one thing, go after the cop for what he did.
Yeah.
But the rioting, I don't get. I don't.
No, I never get the
that.
rioting. That's
Seeing an
ridiculous.
AutoZone burn down, watching them pull all the stuff out of Target. What are you doing?
Yeah. Same thing when you get those idiots from Antifa. I don't understand how they get away with what they get away with, because let me tell you something. If I was a cop, I'd be killing these guys. I'll take the rap.
And then with
When they're walking around swinging bats and beating up civilians, sorry, 2 to the head, you're gone. Okay, that's one less I got to worry about. I just got to do the paperwork, ship them to the morgue. Boom, 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 boom. These Antifa guys, they walk around with these masks on because they don't want mommy to know that they are there causing trouble, because they live in mommy's basement. They don't have real jobs. They got no education. Maybe they went to junior college or something, but they're losers. They're absolute losers. They know how to play video games all goddamn day.
Yeah.
And they put on that mask and they got daddy's, softball bat, and they're like, oh, I'm a badass now. I'm going to break the window at Chase Manhattan Bank. Yeah, right. Okay. Those guys need a beating. They need a serious beating.
depends on the police department and what they're gonna do.
You're limited to what they show you. I have never seen the police do anything against these assholes. They'll put up their police lines and they kind of let these guys do whatever they want to do until they're tired. Then
that's part of the problem. If you let
that's
them do
the part
whatever
I
they
don't
want,
understand.
get crazy.
Because at that point, it should have become, riot gear. You guys are causing trouble. You're not here protesting like an American citizen would protest. You're a bunch of Nazis. They need to be taken down. And if they got to be taken down with force, fine. I like when they bring the fire truck with that big giant nozzle, like they did in the 60s.
Right.
And they just knock you over with like 3,000 PSI water. Boom. That'll send them home.
I watched an interview with Giuliani one time, and he was talking about stuff like this. Yeah. And he was saying, no, when that starts happening, when the first guy who starts doing something, you arrest him. The second guy starts doing something, you arrest them. There is no third guy because they stop doing it as soon as you arrest the first two guys, they stop.
Yeah.
But if you let them go, it multiplies from one person to the next, and then you get chaos.
And you got to tune them up on the ride in.
Little wooden shampoo.
Exactly. Nothing like a tune-up on the way to the precinct because, word gets out. Oh, wow. Maybe we shouldn't do that anymore.
Well, that's what happened to the guy in Baltimore. They threw him in the back of the truck, and they drove around a little bit, bouncing him around, but he snapped his neck.
There is a term for that. There's a term for that technique. I can't remember what it is. Yeah, they put him in a van, and cuffed, but not restrained with no seatbelt, and
right.
Very
and then
rough
the driver does one of these.
Yeah.
Yep. They actually did that a couple of times on The Sopranos.
Yes, that's right. Because a couple of those guys had that happen to them probably, and they remember the technique.
My sister used to tell me stories about how certain, how they call them skells.
Yeah.
When they catch these guys, that they would trip and fall into the squad car.
Oops. Yeah.
They would hit their head on the roof, or coming out, they would trip on the curb or fall up the staircase.
Right.
And it would always, they drag him in. The guy's bleeding everywhere, and the desk sergeant's like, "All right, what happened to this guy? Oh, he tripped going up the steps, sergeant. Yeah, all right, go clean him up." You gotta tune up, man. Tune-ups work. I'm sorry, tune-ups work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you get a lawyer like Ron Kuby shows up, and the next thing you know, getting sued for millions of dollars and all this other stuff.
I don't know. That's why dead men tell no tales.
Yeah.
Minimal paperwork.
Hey, at least you're in Florida.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
I got the best, the county next to us, Grady Judd in Polk County. He's
Oh,
everybody knows Grady Judd.
Yeah.
That guy's a national phenomenon. He don't take any bull. That's a dude that on national, it made national news that he said, if you are held up and you shoot at my officers, we will use every single bullet in our arsenal until there's none left. And you will definitely be dead by the time we're finished with those bullets.
yeah, you'll be down.
He doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He knows that you're a criminal, and he's just going to invoke their kind of justice because you shot first.
Oh, I love some of these stories now. It's like, a kid will break into a house and the homeowner has an AR-15. So of course, you know what happens there. The family of the kid is like, "Oh, how come he had an AR-15? That's not fair." I was like, that's the whole damn point. It's not gonna be fair. This guy's going down.
Right? Did I invite this guy into my house? No.
Hey guys,
if
I'm
you're
gonna bail.
old,
I gotta go
you
tomorrow morning.
can't take physical abuse.
No.
Nobody
So
can.
Ray, on the news today, they said that you've got a whole bunch of squatters in the Hamptons.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on out there. Every town and municipality is now closing itself off to anybody from outside of that town and municipality. North and South Shore. Yeah. Just one after the other.
They did a little news story and they interviewed a woman that's got a house in the Hamptons that she rented to a guy along with his two dogs. So he rented the place for a couple of weeks. I think it was 3 weeks or so he could self-quarantine away from the city. And then after 3 weeks, he stopped paying his rent.
Wow.
Or 3 months or something like that. Stopped paying his rent. She was able to get into the house and she took video. There's broken windows. The carpets are destroyed by his dogs. There's like dog piss on the couches, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
And this guy refuses to leave. She called the police, and naturally the police are like, well, that's a civil thing. We can't do anything.
Wow.
Which I don't understand.
Yeah.
That's to me, I went through that same thing with the house that we bought here, and then I wound up renting it. And I rented it to a military guy, and he had a fight with his girlfriend In the meantime, he told me she was his wife. Well, I believe that one. He left. He went to Ohio. She lived in the house, and I go there. I'm like, hey, you guys didn't pay me the rent. Well, no, he left. He's living in Ohio. I'm like, well, then you got to get out. Well, no, I don't. I go, then you got to pay me rent. Well, no, I don't. I don't have a lease with you. I said, you don't have a lease with me. Exactly. I go, you're his wife. No, I'm not. I'm his girlfriend. So I call the police, and they're like, oh, there's nothing we could do. You're going to have go downtown and have the sheriff file a thing for eviction.
Mm-hmm.
And that could take like 30 to 45 days.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, how does that not work? You know what I'm saying? It's my house. I own the place. I have the paperwork. She's trespassing. Why they can't walk in there, guns drawn? You got a half an hour to pack your shit, lady, and get out of here. You do not live here. But that doesn't work because they have rights. Everybody's got rights. What about the right for me to receive my house back in the condition it was in when I rented it to them?
Yeah.
It was a mess. And then she tried to have me arrested on my own property because I went there every single day and banged on the door telling her to get out or pay the rent. Because you know me, I'm not going to take any bullshit from some little girl who's living in my house for free. So she had the cops come, and the officer literally tried to arrest me.
Wow.
And I called my lawyer on the phone. I said, you need to tell this rookie what the real law is all about. So he recited to her the law that says you cannot trespass the owner of a property while they're on their property. So the cop backed down and said, well, you really need to leave. And I'm like, I don't have to do anything because it's my property. I can stand on my lawn 24 hours a day and shout, and you can't do a thing about it. So it got to the point where I kicked in the front door. And I told her, I said, you got 3 hours to collect your shit. I said, I'm leaving. I go, when I come back, you better be gone. I said, because I'm bringing back friends and I'm bringing back guns. I said, and I'll just leave you dead here on the floor. She was gone.
Yeah.
Packed her shit, wrecked the house.
Yeah.
Put holes in the wall, spilled shit all over the carpet. But 3 hours later, she wasn't around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you had to go through all that first.
Yeah, I had to go through. So it was a mess. The house was a mess. It cost me thousands to fix that place.
All right, guys, I'm out. See you next week.
Hi, Jim.
Unreal.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, this thing is true to form. Every assembly that I try to do, I have to modify. I got the radiator support attached, and
nice.
This radiator that I have, it came with its own air conditioning condenser.
Yeah.
So it's got different mounting holes, spacing wise and everything, than the one that comes with the air conditioning system.
Of course it does.
So I have to modify this bracket in order to get it to fit so I can mount the dryer right there.
Yeah.
Because there's a bracket and it's not going to work, but I found another bracket, which is actually one of the brackets that you use to mount their condenser on your radiator.
That's a vintage AC system, yeah.
Yeah, it's vintage, but that condenser is not from vintage. I don't know who it's from.
I was going to say, I guess maybe it's the architecture of the car. I know on my car and all the other ones I've seen, the dryer is on the right side fender well, and they give you hard lines to come in from the condenser pre-bent.
Yeah, see now with this one, they give you the hard lines pre-bent, and they do this deal with a clamp, two clamps, one on top, one on the bottom. But it mounts in front of the condenser.
Yeah. Okay. I guess on that car there was a reason they did that. Yeah.
So now this tab here, this is a tab that you use to mount their condenser.
Yeah.
And this bolt hole here goes into your radiator support.
Right.
So there's a couple of these tabs to mount the vintage air condenser. Now this condenser here is quite a bit larger than the one that came with the kit.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit more efficient. But I'm able to actually use this condenser mount and then just drill some new holes in the mount that this was originally supposed to go to.
Yeah.
And get it all to work. It's either that or just bend up new aluminum lines.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to bend aluminum lines anyway because there's a bunch of stuff that isn't going to work. See these lines coming out here?
Yeah.
Firewall.
Uh-huh.
I need to have this stuff bend and go up inside the fender,
Right.
and then come forward and then come out here by the radiator support.
Yeah.
Now, this rubber hose isn't long enough, so I'm gonna have to go to a company that does, air conditioning hoses. I need this here to be a 90.
Yep. Well, maybe there's an adapter that can go between that and the fitting, a 90-degree adapter.
I don't know. Yeah, it would have to be with a nut and the green, those green O-rings and everything.
Yeah.
So, and then the smaller line, which I guess that's what the high pressure line.
That's the pressure line. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to buy aluminum tubing.
Yeah.
And custom bend it, and then have these ends put on them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to literally custom do all of these hoses for the air conditioning system. And I still haven't even figured out what I'm doing coming off the top of the compressor because I want to minimize this stuff.
They should have given you hard bends for that too, right?
But they're made to come. In other words, like this hose here is supposed to go here, right on top of the compressor.
Yeah.
I don't want it to. I need it to go under the fender and then come out. So I'm in other words, I'm hiding it.
Yeah.
We're doing custom inner fenders here.
Okay.
We're not using the stock steel rounded ones. We're gonna build ones, and Rocco doesn't want to see these lines. So that's why I need to bring these up and then tuck them in along the top of the fender. And then bring them out over here by the radiator support and then kind of jump around over to the compressor.
So Rocco, when he's in that car on a hot day, he won't care what those hoses look like when that AC is working.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to, make stuff as custom as I can.
Well, those hoses could be run on top of the fenders on the outside. He won't care.
And then I have other stuff that still has to be mounted. I've got the coolant recovery tank, which is back there.
Well, yeah, it is. You're making headway every time.
I mount that. I have to mount the reservoir for the power steering pump.
Yeah,
that's going to go over here.
It's a full square one now, right?
Yeah. It's not real big.
Right. It's tiny.
Actually, no, it's round. This is it here.
Oh, okay. Custom one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Got two of these squeeze mounts.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty cool. But so there's still a lot of things to do.
Oh yeah.
You got to figure out what's going on with the exhaust after the headers. Check out those wire looms.
Yeah, those are nice. That's trick.
Brand new Moroso 8.8 wires.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I mean, they give you the wires. They give you have 90-degree boots. They don't work with these headers.
No, obviously
these
not.
headers. Lemons. He's worried about clearance for everything.
Yeah.
And it gives you plenty of room around the plugs. I mean, look at all the space around the plug wire.
Plenty of room, yeah.
But the 90-degree boots don't work with this car at all. So it's getting there.
Yeah, you're definitely making progress. That's for sure.
Well, you know what they say. It's closer now than it ever was.
True. You're still not working on your own car yet.
That's why I got to get this done.
Yeah.
I have to get it finished so I could build that chassis table,
Right.
so I could start getting that frame done, and then hang the body, and then the body's going to have to come off again.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm going to do all the final welding of the chassis on the rotisserie. I'll bring the rotisserie back and make some mounts and put the chassis up on the rotisserie, because it's just so nice and easy to stand there and TIG weld
Oh, yeah.
in various positions instead of having to deal with coming around the tube and you're like upside down and you got your toe pressing the pedal, you know, or you're using the thumb wheel
Yeah.
on the porch. So the rotisserie will definitely make a reappearance here, and that'll help out a lot. And my plans are to do every single mount that's got to get done on that car, and figure out how to slip the body off, and then send that whole chassis out and get it powder coated front to back
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of painting it, and then slide the body back on, and then it's time for final assembly and plumbing and wiring. So I'm thinking by January that car should probably be in the paint shop. If this thing leaves by the end of July, the latest, then I'll be in the paint booth by January.
Okay.
So it should be pretty good. The wife's like, "How long is it going to take you to build that car?" And I'm like, I said, "It'll go a lot faster than this one." Why? Why would it be a lot faster? She goes, "That's a race car. This is a street car." I go, "There's the difference."
Yeah.
She's like, "I don't understand." I go, "My car is minimalistic. It's tubes, it's tin work, it's carbon fiber, it's stuff that I used to do for a living." I go, "This takes me back to the days when I got into cars. This is the kind of work that I'm like, I'm not motivated for anymore." You know, but I am motivated that it's at this point and I'm doing the cool stuff. I like, you know, like doing this new spark plug wires, figuring out mounting brackets. I love that stuff. The fabrication of doing the mini tubs and messing with the rear end and all of that stuff on a street legal car, you know, on a real street car is it goes way, way back to the days when I worked in a 2-car garage on the floor with a minimal amount of tools, you know, like buying a Milwaukee Sawzall. That was a major expense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's different. And I think the Trans Am, because it's mine and I need to get it done before I die, is a very motivating factor.
Sure. Sure.
So she's like, "All right, whatever."
Yeah.
The other day she said, "You should have just bought the car." I'm like, in hindsight, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Whatever the kid wanted, I should have just, you know, negotiated it, handed him the cash. She says, you'd have been done 2 years ago. You'd be out driving around.
Yeah.
She said, instead of this. I go, well, let's think of this as a warm-up.
Yeah. It really is.
I said, you got to realize, you know, I haven't done that stuff since 2001.
Right.
She's like, whatever.
Yeah,
Because I want my garage back. Because it would be nice to be able to pull my car in to the garage. I was like, I don't know about that. She's like,
yeah,
well,
that's going to be the drum bay.
yeah. Well, she says, you know, you got this 3-car garage. She goes, yeah, I see you got tools and things like that. I said, yeah, but you need to understand something. She's like, what? I go, you see this side of the garage here? I go, this is pretty long on this side. I said, but you got stuff in the back, the welder, the workbench, the storage and stuff like that. I said, the Trans Am as it sits now, nose to bumper, nose to parachute mount, I said, it's 16 feet.
Uh-huh.
I said, this garage is like 21 feet. I said, you're not looking at dual parachute mounts and, you know, 65-inch wheelie bars and a big giant wing. I said, that adds length to the car.
Yeah.
So when this car comes in the garage, it's not coming straight in. It's going to come in diagonal.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, whatever.
Bump out for the
Yeah,
wheelie.
no, I can't. I'd be bumping out into my kitchen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
Well, if I got rid of the workbench back there, yeah, I would gain another almost 3.5, 4 feet.
the wheelie bars go under the workbench.
Well, no, because I'm not going to be backing this car in.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to pull in forward. So I got to get the wheelie bars just past the garage door.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, I already had the car on this side
Yeah.
and literally had the parachute, you know, line mount about 8 or 10 inches off the door. And you could just barely walk past the nose.
Yeah.
So now add the wing, add the wheelie bars, add all the other bull crap. Now the nose is in the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't make garages like they used to.
No.
You know, today you buy a house that's built in the last, 20 years, and everything's made for a new style car, which is
Sure.
2 feet shorter, 3 feet shorter than what we're used to messing with.
Yeah.
You know, you're not pulling your Pontiac in here.
No.
It's not happening. You know,
Yeah.
like my mom's garage. You know, my father had a 65 Lincoln Town car, suicide door.
Yeah.
You could pull that thing in and you could walk around the whole car.
Wow.
You know,
Nice.
my mom had a 72 Cadillac. Same thing. They would put both of them in.
Nice.
You could open the doors and you could literally walk around the car. Her garage is about 28 feet deep. You know, and they're wide. The garage doors are wide. I used to see garage doors. I can't pull my truck in my garage.
The height, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. And okay, it's 4-wheel drive, but it's not jacked up 4-wheel drive. It's
Right.
factory 4-wheel drive.
Trucks have gotten bigger.
I'm finding like I can't even go to the parking garage at the airport.
Oh, wow.
When Barb went out of town and I had to pick her up, I took the truck. And when I pulled up to the ticket gate, we have Sun Passes, like you have Easy Pass.
Yeah, yeah.
And mine is set up so that I could go to park at the airport and I don't have to do anything. It gets charged to that transducer. Well, as I was pulling up to the gate, there's one of those height things before you even get to the gate.
Right.
And I had to stop. And I opened up the door and stood up on the rocker panel. And that thing was going to take the clearance lights right off the top of the truck.
Wow.
So I had to back up. Luckily, there's an exit right there. It was late. There was nobody behind me. And I had to go park down in long-term parking.
Mm.
And at Tampa Airport, long-term parking is at the other end of the airport. And you got to walk to this elevated, it's like a monorail.
Yeah.
And take that over to the terminal. So
Right.
it's a 15-minute ordeal to go from the parking place to the terminals.
Wow.
Yeah. She's like, should have just taken my car. You wouldn't have had to deal with it. I'm
Well-
like, whatever. Now I know.
Yeah.
You
Can't
know?
argue
Now
with that.
I'm like, wow. It's amazing. And the truck's not, it's just however GMC builds their 2500 4-wheel
Yeah.
drive trucks.
You got to tell, hon, I was being considerate. I don't want to have to move the seat in your car. You'd have to move it back again,
Oh, no. Dude, it's a Mercedes.
Yeah, I know.
She
Memory
has
seat.
memory 1. I have memory 2. Our daughter has memory 3.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem. I do have some issues with Mercedes-Benz, though.
Yeah.
You set it where you want, and then you hit the memory.
Mhm.
So she's quite a bit smaller than me, so I have to stand outside the car, hold my finger on the button.
Right. Wait
Seat
for it.
moves. The seat moves back. I'm amazed at the way they do stuff.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do one operation and then another.
Yeah.
There's like 6 things going on at once.
Yeah.
The seat's moving back. The backrest is tilting. The headrest is coming up. The bolsters are moving. The steering column is dropping. The steering wheel is moving out. The whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Pedals, everything's moving. But one thing, the rear view mirror.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I'm like, all this technology, you couldn't make a rear view mirror that's motorized? So every time I get in the car, I got to mess with that. You know, the side mirrors, they're moving on their own.
Yeah.
So you just hit that number 2, and there's like all of these motors whizzing away.
Yeah. Everything is motorized.
Everything but the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I bet you Audi does that.
Oh, I don't know.
You never know.
You never know.
No, man.
I bet Teslas do.
Yeah.
See that cool Tesla they moved the astronauts in?
I didn't see that. No. No.
Oh, yeah, the Tesla built a special one with big rear gull wing doors.
I think I saw a drawing of it on like Twitter or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got gull wing rear doors so they
Right.
can get in and easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's nice.
Wild.
I like they showed a lot of video inside that Dragon capsule. It's all big, you know, LED touch screens. There's not one switch in the whole spacecraft.
Virtual command center. Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening because I was driving, and I actually went to YouTube, and it's, you know, the phone's plugged into the truck, so I'm listening to the YouTube deal live through the speakers in the truck, and they were describing a lot of stuff that I give SpaceX and Musk and his people a lot of credit for. They were, you know, on the pad, and they got to that countdown point where they were getting ready to fuel. So they had to arm the emergency escape system. Now, all of the rockets that we've had prior, it was literally a rocket attached to the capsule on the Apollos and on the Mercuries and the Geminis. And that would move the capsule out of the way if there was a problem. But on a normal run, there's no issues. Sooner or later, they have to jettison that thing. So they fire it anyway. And it's a disposable rocket. What he did is he put 8 rocket motors that are physically attached to the body of the capsule. They go with the capsule no matter where you are. They explain it's just a matter of opening up the ignition valves. So if there's an issue, they fire those 8 rockets, and the capsule goes where the capsule's got to go. But when the capsule comes back, those rockets are part of the capsule, and it's a reusable capsule. So he's saving a boatload of money by not having a throwaway emergency rocket,
right?
All integral into the system. You know, he's using highly refined kerosene and liquid oxygen, along with something else, some other crazy, oxidizer, which is completely different than what NASA has always used, which was insane stuff that was ridiculously expensive, per gallon or liter or pound or whatever. So he's saving a boatload of money because this highly refined kerosene, it's like jet fuel plus.
Yeah.
So it's cheap fuel. So his people have figured out a lot of ways to make this stuff, actually, more affordable.
A lot of times, once something gets in the hands of a private organization, they can definitely do what the government didn't. Not that the government couldn't do, but what the government didn't do, and they can do it, better and more cost effective.
Yeah.
Two words that the government don't always coincide.
Right. Plus his booster rockets all return back to Earth to be reused.
I wonder how much space junk is really up there in the atmosphere.
That was one of the things they were talking about.
Yeah.
Because they said yesterday's launch had a dead head window.
Yeah.
It had to go at a certain time. I don't know if it was like 4:53
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like around
4:33 or something. That there was no leeway.
Yeah.
Barb asked me that when she came home. She goes, I heard the weather got better literally a few minutes later, but it was too late.
Yeah.
She goes, but what's 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there? I said, it's the satellites that are up there, whether they're communication satellites, weather satellites, military satellites. I said, it's the position of the space station, because they have to chase that thing.
Yeah.
I said, and then there's all that space junk.
Right.
So I said 1 minute could mean death.
Yeah.
They said, now I know on a lot of other launches, they have a window
Yeah.
that they can work within. And I said, it all has to do with where is the satellite that they have to capture and what orbit do they need to inject themselves into to catch up with that.
Yeah.
You know, like when they were doing the Hubble Space Telescope, the orbit that's in is a whole different deal than the space station. And a lot of times they had some pretty large windows where they could, you know, if something happened, they had an hour to get back on track,
right,
and be able to do it. You know, there's a lot of stuff with space travel that's pretty darn complicated.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just amazed that they can track all of that space junk.
Well, I guess it's physical, so you can map it. You know, it's too bad they can't go there with a big space net and just start scooping it up. And
I think somebody had said that years ago that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Some type of
somebody did, yes,
sail that they wanted to let go.
Yeah,
and literally catch. But I don't know, at the speeds these particles are. They say at the speed like that stuff is orbiting the Earth in some of these orbit heights that, you know, something like a 1032 bolt. I mean, nut. It'll go straight through your helmet, through your head, and out the other side.
Well, that's if you're stationary. If you're going at the same speed, it's all relative now.
That's what I would think. But
now you can
the stuff that I read said that that they may be going at one speed, but because there was an explosion,
oh yeah,
stuff is traveling at a different rate of speed.
Right. That's what you got to be careful of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know.
That's
pretty crazy.
Space.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
I
they
would
say.
love to go. They were doing a poll. You know, I couldn't answer it, but you know, if I had the chance to go, dude, I'm there.
Yeah.
You told me, oh, you got to lose 150 pounds. I'll starve myself. I'll go get that operation where they put that cuff on your stomach.
Yeah.
You have like liquid diet for a year. I don't care what it is. If I had a chance to go, I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's just the coolest.
Yeah. Neat stuff.
Yeah. Just to be able to see Earth, you know, from there.
Yeah.
Well, I hope when they go to the moon that they somehow take the time to show some of the landing areas that we've been to take all of these naysayers and shut them up.
Right.
And then it'll be like, oh, no. That military spacecraft that went up 2 years ago, it didn't put satellites around Earth. It shot stuff at the moon.
Yeah.
So that's what you're showing me. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
They'll never believe. It should be pretty good. I hope to get up there soon.
Yeah.
Then I was thinking about, they said that there's only one person on the space station right now.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
They said there's one person up there. I may be wrong, maybe, but that's what I heard.
Okay.
That there's one person there right now. Everybody has already come back.
The Centaurian at the gate.
I'm like, well, that could go two ways. We've seen movies where one person's left and things are a mess.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I said to myself, well, there's one guy up there. That's the only man in the universe that has not had any exposure to COVID-19.
That's right.
So he's really susceptible.
They were talking about that early on with the guys that are out on submarines.
Yeah.
And they don't get told the information either because that's kind of status quo.
Right.
You know, you don't tell them about family or events like that because of your mental health. It's only when they're like, I think they got to be 6 days out of port, and then they'll start feeding them information. But they said, yeah, those sub crews are basically uninfected. We know it because they went out before any of this hit. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it since, but yeah, there's odd stuff like that.
How many of those, you know, military people that have been blacked out actually have somebody that's gone? Or
and they can't tell them. Yeah,
that could be a disaster.
They can't tell them till like I said, I think it's like 6 days back from port.
Wow.
We're in the last 59 seconds here. We're almost done.
Right. It was a good night.
Yeah. Papa Squirrel, you talk too much.
Yeah, really.
Thanks a lot for the information, guys. I've been sitting here listening because remember that old saying, you keep your mouth shut, you learn a lot of things.
Well, this was the John night. I was listening to him all night myself. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
good. I'm more than happy.
You just talked for like 2 hours straight.
Yeah, right.
John's always
I
got
can
good
do it.
information.
Yeah.
That's why I need a website.
Yes, we'll do it. Get it going, man.
I gotta make a couple of phone calls. I need to get set up with a live video site, but I need to own the site so I can't be censored by YouTube or any of these
Right.
other idiots.
Right.
Pirate internet.
You got it. Like Pirate Paul, my buddy Pirate Paul. Absolutely.
Well,
All right. With 7 seconds left, fellas, we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.